Okay, today I'm going to show you how to attempt an abstract reasoning question. At the end, I'm going to show you the foolproof method that's always going to get the pattern. Then I'm going to show you the fast way and the super fast way at the very end, just that's going to help you be accurate and speedy every time. So let's first have a go at a question so I can illustrate the points I'm trying to make. I'll give you a minute now to work out what pattern's going on, and then with the test shape, get set A, B, or neither. So 1 minute on the clock. Make sure you have a go at the question, see if you can guess the pattern, and I'll see you in a hot minute. Okay, so what I want to do with this is show you what goes on in my brain when I see a question like this. And obviously it's going on a lot quicker than the way I'm describing it to you now, but with a bit of practice and trying these techniques that I'm about to show you, you will see how quickly you internalize it and then go really quickly. The abstract reasoning is always the most daunting to start with, but actually the one that people see the most improvement on because of these techniques that I'm about to show you. So the trick is always with this is that you ignore the test shape and first try and work out the pattern in one of the sets. Often I say try and look for the bare bones box, so the simplest box, and then you can work out everything from that. But as you can see, they're pretty much all exactly the same. So I'm going to take you through my foolproof method first. And actually, if you haven't seen this already, I recommend you check out this playlist here where I go through abstract reasoning techniques and all of the kind of things that you need to know to make sure that you do well. So in those videos, you will see that I introduced an acronym which gives you all the possible patterns and shapes that can occur. And that is called Spartan IBS. So I'm going to take you through all of these now and show you how very quickly in my head, I'm just going through that mental checklist of all of the possible patterns that can occur. So the first two are shape and position, and I'm actually going to ignore them because it will come as no surprise from looking at these that shape and position are two big parts of this pattern. But I want to just show you that we can rule out a lot of the other ones. So angles, right angles, irrelevant in this. There aren't many right angles, nothing, no pattern there, obviously. Root and direction, well, they've got maybe a triangle that's pointing in a certain direction, but clearly no rhyme or reason to that. Touching size, nothing is touching size. Area and size is more about the number of enclosed areas when shapes overlap. Number of items, well, all of the boxes contain 6 items on both sides, so that's not going to be one of the distinguishing features or the pattern. There are no intersections, there are no borders, and with borders I'm not going to count them all up now, but I can assure you that there is no pattern with the borders. However, the last one, shading, is one. So again, mentally when I'm going through this, I am going through that checklist in my head, or I might even use the whiteboard to write down the acronym just to quickly help me scan through. So I've identified the 3 things that are the elements in the pattern here. Normally, like I say, I would start with the bare bones box, but because they're all the same practically, I would just start with the top left one of set A. So what can we see here with set A? So firstly, like we said, the 3 things that are at play here are the shape type, the position, and the shading. So with set A, the first thing that I see is that there are 3 black shapes in each one. So normally what I would do is just work out what's going on in set A, but this is one of those where sometimes when you zoom out and quickly have a quick look, you can quite see from the bird's eye view that set A all has 3 black shapes and set B has 2 black shapes. So that is something there, that's already one pattern that we've identified. One thing that I can also see is that set A also has 1 circle in each one. Sometimes it's patterned, sometimes it's blank, but it always has a circle. The thing that I can also see is sometimes it has 2 circles. And actually, if you notice, where it has 2 circles, it is always on the right side of the screen in the second box, the third box, or the middle left if you will, and then the middle right, so the fourth box. So we have 3 black shapes, always 1 pattern circle. If there's an additional circle, it is blank and to the right side of the box. And then if there are any additional other shapes, they're usually white octagons, and there's not really a pattern, rhyme or reason to those. So just before we go on to set B, just to let you know that this is what we call a conditional pattern. Now these are probably some of the more complicated ones, and I have an entire module on my online course when we go about how to tackle these. But just to set your mind at ease, these are some of the more complicated types of questions that you might get on the UCAT. And if you want to check out my online course, we've got 20 hours of videos where basically every type of question that can come up, we do videos where we explain them, show you the patterns and show you the fastest method to do it. So you can check out that video there. So let's move on to set B. And now that we've got a few patterns in set A, we can almost kind of hone in on those to know that set B is going to give us something similar but different that distinguishes it from set A. So firstly, we can see that each box in set B has a circle, and actually that circle is clear, and sometimes it actually has an additional circle which is patterned. And actually what you notice when you see that it has a patterned circle as well as a clear circle is that the pattern one is always above the white one. So that's an important thing to notice. We also notice, again, the really standout thing, as we mentioned earlier, is that there are 2 black shapes. No particular rhyme or reason to the shapes, but what you do notice with this is one of the black shapes also has a patterned same shape of that type, which is also in the box. So it's almost like they're coming in pairs. There's 2 black, 2 clear, and 2 patterned. However, one of the patterned and one of the black shapes are the same. And as I say, any additional shapes might be an octagon, but they'll always come in those pairs of clear, black, and shaded. Okay, great. So it's really important to establish the pattern before we attempt to have a go at the test shape. And the reason is that you will spend, I always recommend about a minute for the entire set of 5 questions for the abstract reasoning. So they come, you'll get something like this, a grid like this, and then you'll get 5 questions to follow up from it. And really how you should be allocating your time is about 45 seconds to work out what's going on with the pattern, and then go on to just do the 5 questions, because if you know the pattern, then you can really knock out the questions quite easily, because it's very easy once you know what's going on. So we have this, it's pretty straightforward now. Well, straight away looking at this test shape, you can see that it has 3 black shapes. So that means instantly it cannot fit with set B. So we know now that it's either going to be set A or neither. Remembering that neither is obviously if it doesn't go with either pattern, but also if it goes with both patterns. If it works with both set A and set B, then it can't belong to one, it belongs to both, so that makes it neither. So now that we've ruled out set B, let's have a look whether it actually fits with A. So first tick is that it's got the 3 black shapes. Then we see that it has a shaded circle, which was one of our prerequisites. And then finally, any additional shapes are white octagons, which it has 2 of. So that fits perfectly fine with our set A. So we know that the answer is set A. Now, that, as you can see, is the really, really slow way of doing this. So actually, what I'm going to show you now is 2 ways that can speed this up. The first is what I call the kind of shortcut way. Now, this is something that I teach on my course, and I'm going to show you just one part of the cheat sheet here that I have. So as part of the course, there are 6 areas that you actually can shortcut quite quickly by looking just at the type of question that it is. And you know from that question that it's only going to be a certain number of possibilities. So with this one, I call it the overwhelming number of shapes. And when it's an overwhelming number of shapes, I have an acronym and it's called PST-AL. So imagine Alan Sugar. And from that acronym, that I know when I see a question like this, it can basically only be position, shading, sides, type of shape, angles, or lines of symmetry. Now that instantly cuts out about half of the possible patterns, and you can hone straight in, and you can see from what we're looking at with this shape and this test question that actually within the first 4 of that acronym we've got all the possible patterns that it could be. So again, the course is super cheap, you get access for a year. I'd recommend just doing it. Honestly, just watching those videos alone. You can check out one of my students here who actually did this course and absolutely nailed the UCAT and recommends it so highly. He says all of the techniques that he learned in that particular course have just made the difference between him getting a low score and a really, really good one. And actually the final one is super, super quick, but it's a bit of an investment over time because it requires you to look at a lot of patterns up front and just be able to recognize one straight away just by looking at it. Actually, this is spoken about in this video here with one of my ex-students, Daisy, who got 3,150 or something ridiculous in her UCAT after doing our one-on-one mentoring program. She talks about all the types of patterns that can come up and how to very quickly make a list of all of them so that instantly you can recognize them and you don't have to go through all of these acronyms or even the shortcuts that I've showed you. So if you want to do that, there's a list on my online course of all the ones that we've come up with that you can possibly get. So I'd recommend checking out this video, like I said here, just by clicking the information button to see how Daisy did it. And also if you want to check out my online course here, where I go through all of these things that I talked about and give you all the information that you need to get another 3,000 plus score. So thank you for watching this video. I'll see you over in that course, or if you want just a pure YouTube free abstract reasoning playlist, you can check out this one here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you over in one of those videos. Take care.